if I could pick one thing to do, let's say I could pause my career right now. So you're like, okay, see you in 2 weeks and whatever. I would probably go somewhere and take, like you said, a bunch of books. And I think that's what I'd do for a week, man. I'd just hike for 2 hours in the morning. I'd cook some good meals. I'd read a book and just like do nothing else. That's it.
Yeah.
That is like the ideal escape from reality for me, is just reset. But
do it.
You know, it's hard to do that with Twitch though, Ben. It's very hard to do that.
No,
it is. Not. It very much is.
No.
I've got responsibilities. I've got an audience, you know?
You got responsibilities towards your own life and towards your own future.
It's true. It's true.
Welcome back, this time with another podcast episode with Jaime Staples joining me today, which I'm very excited about. He is not only a very popular streamer, but also a poker pro and a party poker ambassador. He's working on a lot of exciting things, and I'm very grateful to have him on the show today. He has a lot to share when it comes to grabbing opportunities, knowing exactly what you want. We not only talk about poker and streaming, of course, we also talk about the industry and what we can do better in poker and how to grow the game bigger. He has a lot of very, very good insights to share, but also some more personal stuff in his journey. He's talking about his challenge and his biggest failures and what he has learned from. And we talk about topics around that. And I think it's very, might be very impactful for your own life, and you can learn some stuff. So you should definitely watch it, check it out. So again, very grateful that he's joining me, and enjoy the show. Jaime, thank you so much for taking the time. It is an intense Monday. You've been grinding yesterday. So I'm very grateful, and the community is very grateful that you take the time to join us here on the show today.
Happy to be here, man. It's a pleasure. Anytime I have with you, Ben, I'm in. I'm interested. So happy to be here.
How's the grind lately going?
It's been insane, man. Actually, like I moved to Canada from the UK in November. So I had a quarantine for 2 weeks, and then December 15th, I sort of got on the grind, and I've been about 6 days a week, 8-9 hours a day since then.
Also streaming,
like through the holidays. Yeah. And streaming as well. So it's almost like a poker and streaming renaissance for me, where it's like I'm back in action, like I'm fighting hard, like it was the early days, and I'm playing the old 3 rebuy again. It's just like I'm battling, playing the same players every day, putting in hands. So it's been a lot of fun, man. I feel like I'm making some improvements. So feeling good.
Yeah. What I'm always most interested is the person, Jaime Staples. You just said like back in the days when you started playing poker, did you realize early on that you wanted to go more into the direction of a poker player, or was it that you decided for yourself, no, I want to be streaming and then see where it goes with poker?
It was purely poker. I had no idea that I was going to be content creation whatsoever.
Yeah.
I think what attracted me to poker in hindsight when I was 18, 19 was that purpose in life, basically. I wanted to be a professional golfer. I failed at that. I wasn't going to be Tiger Woods. That was crushing. So I saw the guys on TV, they're in Vegas. They got the girls on the rail. They got all the money. And I'm like, that's me, man. I want to be that, right? I want to be that cool guy. So that story, that marketing story worked on me. And I would love to say that I got into the game and I thought it was so beautiful, the strategies of playing against my opponents, but it wasn't. It was to be someone. That was the hope. And of course, when I got into the game, I evolved that hope a little bit as I grew from 18 to a little bit older. And it wasn't about going to Vegas and being a cool person anymore. But it was all about just finding success in this game, finding financial freedom and success in this game, finding a place. But participating in the industry from the very beginning was like what attracted me. I was being one of the guys on TV, like that was cool. So when Twitch came up, I was like, this is an opportunity for me to contribute in that way and to do something for the broader poker along with playing myself as a person. Yeah. So it worked out perfectly for me.
What I find very inspiring about you, you strike me as someone who is, you see an opportunity and you grab it. You're very innovative. Like, as you said, with Twitch earlier, but also recently with the party poker, event that we had with all the different streamers. I guess you also, in terms of developing and coming up with the idea, you were heavily involved. So where does it come from that you're not afraid to try out new things, whether it was back then trying out Twitch, trying out these new formats, and I guess also the challenge? You don't appear to me as someone who is afraid of trying out new things. Where is it coming from?
I think it's probably ADHD, actually. I think it's my brain that when I have something, I go down the rabbit hole of like, I'm into that thing. I'm in the zone.
Yeah.
So, and then some of it is learned as well. Like, Gary Vaynerchuk, I know a guy that we've both taking inspiration from at points in our career. He's talked about like, when you find something that works, like squeeze it. You're not gonna you don't take little bits. If you find a winning formula, like you're in there. You got to go all in and get everything you can out of that situation. And that is true, I think, in poker and in Twitch. In poker, it's volume. It's like putting in the time. When you have a winning formula to like multiply that success and not getting lazy. And then in streaming, it's like if you have a show that people are interested in and it's growing, it's like, well, you've got the formula. You just got to put in the time and go and go and go. So I don't know. I think that's an important thing in like hitting those next levels and really getting the success you want out of whatever it is you're trying to do.
But why is it so easy for you and it might be so difficult for others that see an opportunity and are not squeezing enough? Is it just your confidence?
I think part of it is just like my brain, like it's just the way it is. Like I naturally want to take things to the highest level. I think there's some internal pressure I put on myself to I don't know, operate at a high level, I guess. But I don't know. I just have an openness to trying things and experience. Like a good example is I made a very memeable YouTube video, and it was a Poker Stars chests reaction video on YouTube. And by the way, I was looking on my analytics this week and it's got like 100 views this week. So my thesis was kind of right. But my thinking was like, oh, this is going to be like other video games where people open chests in like CSGO or something. And they react to it. And it's like, it was the most popular CSGO content on the internet for a long time. I was like, so maybe poker will be like this. So I get up there, and I put on an enthusiastic face. I'm like, all right, we're going to try this and get hype. We play some music in the background and we open these chests that of course have like 70 cents in them. It's not very interesting, but I tried it, like an openness to try is something that a lot of people lack, I think. Yeah. So they won't even start streaming. They won't even try different formats. They won't even try something because they're closed to the idea because they may fall on their face. They might look stupid. And sometimes you do, but who cares? It's just like, well, we're all going to die. So whatever, like do what you're going to do, man. Like try things. So maybe there's something there. I don't know.
So you didn't make $1 million by opening chests?
I didn't, dude. But it is interesting that it is, about 5 years later, still getting about 100 views a week. There's something there, man. I mean, I was kind of onto something. I think it's a very boring video in hindsight, but it was worth trying.
I have a lot of viewers that request me opening the chests on stream. Then they see sometimes I'm not opening them. Like I had like 80 chests. I'm like, why open it? Fuck, I freak out that he's not opening his chest. Like, dude, come on. Like, so I agree with you. I was always wondering why we're not in poker in general mimic more what is happening in esports. I think especially around skins, in-game items, throwables that you can purchase for like 49 cents or whatever, that it's essentially funding an entire esports industry with these huge prize pools for like 10, 20, 30, 50 million dollars, right? And so, and that's what fun players like to do. They like to create their own avatar. They like to create their own, having their unique specific style. And I think this is something what we also as professional poker players that we need to understand that we need to do, or we need to find a way in order to satisfy the fun player. So, and of course we need to trust the operators that they say, okay, this is a new revenue stream and we're going to be reinvesting it into better tournaments, better structure, higher guarantees, that they're not taking it to invest it into casino games. Of course, then this would be kind of bad, but I think there are a lot of ways that you can learn from esports. What do you think about it?
100%. Esports is huge. I mean, esports is like, poker has so much to learn from esports. We're minuscule compared to them. And due to the structure of poker's business, like it's a really nice business, regulatory aside, right? So there's all this money coming in regularly. So the need to like innovate has not been there in poker until kind of now, right? Like it was just a printing press back in 2010 and 9 and 8, like after Moneymaker boom. I mean, you spread a game and money was just falling from the sky. We didn't have to make the game better. We didn't have to innovate or create reasons for why people wanted to play. Poker was already just a huge thing. But now we're competing against Fortnite. We're competing against Netflix. We're competing against TikTok. We're competing against all sorts of things for people's attention. And frankly, a lot of that is just more interesting if you're not a poker player. You know, you go to some guy on the street, some 18-year-old kid, what's more interesting, playing Fortnite or playing, poker on these graphics that look like they're from 2008?
Yeah.
It's like, you're not going to get these guys. We have to innovate and grow and change and improve. So for sure, Ben, I think we are so far behind in poker in regards to making it an entertaining game. And I think it's because at the top of all of these companies, all of them, it's viewed as part of gaming. Poker is all in all the gaming conferences, right? Gaming, I mean gaming like a casino gaming, right? So the poker industry operates in all of these gaming conferences where they get together and they talk about the gaming industry. It's regulated from a government perspective, all under the same regulations in the gaming industry, right? Like we are just in that group, and that group doesn't innovate. It's just this industry that is bad. And like conventional gaming, this is the opportunity where things are new and interesting. We have to bridge that gap. Poker's got to get out of this into conventional gaming if it's going to succeed into the future. And people are trying. I don't know if we have hope, but I think that's the key.
Yeah, you're very involved in not just as a streamer and ambassador for Party Poker, as far as I know. You're also working and investing a lot of time and effort in the background to create new projects. For everyone that was missing it out, there was an event 2 months ago where it was an invite-only tournament for streamers, and if you bust, you're supposed to rate the streamer that busted you. It was a very interesting format. I think it was very exciting also for the viewers. And you also invited gamers, right, that had a connection to poker. I saw a bunch of poker players I've never seen before, but they're very big, very large in esports. And when you follow their chat, it was actually quite interesting. So do you think that is the future, to have more cross promotion with esports, or do you see any other opportunities, or do you have any other ideas to make poker more popular and more exciting to attract the 18-year-old players that are not going to be going to Fortnite?
Yeah, so I think that's part of the equation. And I think the big deal it was called was a good first step at like bringing some of these broader communities from casino, from Dota, from CSGO, from Valorant, wherever around, variety streaming into poker and having a shared experience. It was a Twitch event. It was a Twitch party. You're seeing that happen in all sorts of games on Twitch where
Twitch virus, right? They invite the best players or the most popular ones and
and bring them together under a game. I mean, it's an awesome thing. So I think that's a good first step. Got to give credit to PokerStars as well in that really interesting over the last month and a half or so. You've seen on Sunday a huge amount of streamers from other sections on Twitch coming in to stream, whatever the main event is on PokerStars that week. So right now it's like the blowout series. And, I'm assuming these guys are paid. I don't know. But like they're guys that don't stream poker coming in on Sunday and they're streaming at PokerStars, 5K or 2K or something. And that's growing the game of poker. So I think that's like a good thing for everyone, even though I'm Team Party now, like that's good for poker. But structurally, we need to improve as well. Like this is good marketing. This brings people in that haven't seen poker, but we need to get poker to just be better as well. like the actual game. So I think that's half the equation, I would say.
What do you mean in terms of the game, to improve the game? What is your take on that?
Well, I don't think I'm not suggesting that we have two flops or something like that, right? I think the game of poker is good, but we there's not very much developed around it in that, like you said, an avatar, right, is something that we just don't really have the ability to change an avatar. Even like a history of the tournaments you've won only exists on a third-party site, right? Pocket Fives. If you told that to a gaming executive, I'm pretty sure it would blow their mind. Like, what do you mean? So you won a tournament and you don't know that you won a tournament? You don't get like a virtual trophy that you can look back on? So like what is Joe Blow that is losing, $600 a year playing poker, but it's fun. He plays every Sunday and he gambles a bit. Like he wins a tournament in 2018. What does he get? He only gets money.
Yeah.
That's it. He gets money and he gets the ability to brag to whatever friends that play poker, which is probably not any. There's no ability to have like a global connection on the sites, to have a communication or to glorify his moment. So literally he gets nothing from that, which is just like insane. So why is Joe Blow going to care?
Yeah.
Like we need to create a reason for them to care. Create a virtual trophy for Joe's where you can see his success over time. And I want that. I want to look back and see what I won in like 2010, on Full Tilt Poker, the old 24+2. Like, of course I want to see those trophies, that makes the game engaging and interesting. And so we need poker companies to invest a couple $1 million to create this and have faith that it's going to benefit them in the long run, even though in the short run, they're not going to earn any revenue from it right now, right? They just have to trust that this creates a depth of relationship that's going to keep people engaged in poker and make us more money in the long run.
Yeah.
As opposed to developing like, a Spin Ultra or a Fast Spin that all the sites have created now where it's like a quick game.
Yeah.
Like that's easy to prove to an executive. Like, yep, we're going to make this money. Let's put our development resources into that. Someone needs to take that leap of faith and go all in on making poker a more well-rounded game.
Yeah. So it's more about the short-term revenue that can be generated through new games that reduce the amount of time you play in a game. So as you said, these fast spin and goes, rush spin and goes, all in or fold kind of formats or whatever there is, that you can present to an executive. Say you can charge an XYZ amount of rake. You can exactly define the amount of time that is being played, transaction fees, yada, yada, yada. And then you can say this is the expected revenue. And then it gets a green light. But we're not really thinking about, okay, what is actually the innovations we can incorporate or we can implement that might not be so tangible or not so measurable, but they would have a huge benefit in the long run. Like avatars, like skins, where you just have to have a little bit of trust in, okay, it works incredibly well in esports. And it's also not, at least I assume, I have a bit of business experience. You have an immense business experience. You're looking behind the curtains or closed doors. I can't really see a lot of risk being involved where you start with a few skins, you start with very low effort to see how is it being received, how is it being accepted. And if you see, hey, there is already potential, let's go further on it or readjust, try something different. So I don't really think you need to invest like 10 million to hire a team of graphic designers, of developers, coming up with the most fancy design skins and characters, throw it all out there and then see how people receive it. And then, it's not working out, we lost the $10 million. Like, I think you can start very little, see, test, readjust, go a little further. And if it's a big thing, just go all in on it and squeeze out as much as possible.
Some of that is interesting because the ways that some of the poker companies that I've worked with, like how they develop things and how they release things is interesting. And what you're saying is true. And it's so much more efficient, I think, to do things small and incrementally as opposed to all at once, big, perfect. I think that's a much slower way of doing things, but it seems to be the way that it's done in poker, where there isn't like the small incremental, we're testing, we're trying, we're doing
a minimum viable product, basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So
we do it.
I hope we see it.
Yeah,
I hope we see it.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No. Yeah. Go ahead.
We do it exactly the same now with courses, and I think it's also much better for our students when, let's say, we create a new course instead of, and this is the way I used to do it, creating a course of 50 videos, getting it out there, and hope people like it. I think we're blessed and we're lucky that the content was good, so people were happy with it. But I think and this is also what we did now with our recent Sit and Go course, we release it way earlier with way less content. And also for a much cheaper price, like sometimes 50% off. And people don't mind waiting a little bit, and they still get access to content. So you intend to make a course with 30 videos, release it after 5 videos. Right? And then ask people for their feedback. Hey, what do you like? What you don't like? And you can consider it for all the remaining videos and create much better content around it. Hey, do you like more the reviews? Do you like more the theoretical videos? Is there a concept? Is there a topic missing that you guys would like to see? How do you like the videos so far? And then you produce the rest. And you have overall a much better course than if you would just create 30 videos without getting any feedback. You get it out faster. And the huge upside is if nobody's buying the first 5 videos, maybe the course itself is just a horrible idea. So then you haven't wasted a year of work, maybe just 2 or 3 months. You refund, maybe if you have only 2 or 3 guys that purchased the course, you refund them and you move on and try a new project. Right? It's just like, that's exactly the problem that I sometimes see is like, oh my God, it's going to be a year of work. Like we have to heavily invest. No, actually most of the time not. You create a minimum viable product, you get feedback, and you adjust and you see how it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great plan. And also a shout out to Slayer as well. I haven't picked up the Sit and Go course yet, but I know that he was releasing one, and I think Slayer is such a legend.
Yeah, he is. He's the just amazing Sit and Go legend.
He's the GOAT. I mean, I love watching his stream on Twitch as well because he's just such a genuine dude, I feel like in some ways our mind is operating the same way where he's talking a mile a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, he's of course playing 3 times as many tables as me and snapping off ICM spots like it's nothing. But that's awesome, dude. I want to check out the course at some point.
Honestly, it was the same with him. He was really afraid. Like I said, listen, chill. We're going to make a few videos. We see how it goes. We listen carefully to what people have to say. We take their feedback. And we're going to be creating the rest. Like we have some post-flop stuff, some ICM stuff. We're going to be improving the pre-flop ranges, adding some more pre-flop spots, multi-way spots, and then the rest we're going to be adding later on after we've received the feedback, so we can release earlier. We get much better feedback, and he was like, "Yeah, actually, it makes sense." And it's something I've been doing wrong for a very long time as well. Because I can imagine there are a lot of videos, also my courses, that people might not really enjoy that much. Because I've first created, the entire course instead of releasing little by little.
I think failure is scary if you're not doing stuff all the time. You know what I mean? Like you make a ton of content, You're prolific on every platform. It's epic, And I also make a ton of content. If you're not used to failing and having some stuff fall flat on its face, I think it can be daunting. It's daunting for new streamers. What if they don't like this? What if this is not perfect, etc.? But it's like when you're used to failing a lot, it becomes not as big of a deal where it's just like, oh, we're going to try. And if it sucks, whatever. And we're moving on. It's just not a big thing. So, maybe try failing more. That's an interesting philosophy. Try and go out and fail more. Might be a cool idea.
Yeah. What was your biggest failure that you have learned the most from it? If you look back, even before your streaming or poker career.
No, it would definitely be the second bet with Bill Perkins. Is definitely my biggest failure ever.
What was the second bet about?
I had to get to 10% body fat.
Okay.
was the bet.
That's hard.
And I don't
That's
know.
really
We are
hard.
a little bit more than 10% body fat at the moment. But yeah, I mean, that was a huge undertaking, right?
Oh man.
And a huge spectacle as well. So
What was the time
public
frame?
failure. It was like a year.
A year?
And I was
For
at
both of you,
184
just for
pounds.
you or also for Matt?
Matt and I.
Both of you.
Yeah.
It would have been, I think it would have been better if combined 20%. So maybe, you know, one of you guys is going to be at 8 and the other's going to be at 12. So that the other can like equalize
it
the
could
other
have been.
ones.
But it was 10% by a DEXA scan too. So it's not like a caliper where you can like pinch it. Like it had to be like imaged your body to where it's 10%. And I mean, if you look at guys that are actually 10% body fat, it's really...
It sounds a lot, but like it's so little. Some people might say if you're not into fitness, well, oh my God, 10%, but like it's very difficult.
Yeah, like you have an 8-pack, basically.
Yeah.
If you have youthful skin, you're gonna have an 8-pack. So
but why was it a failure?
Well, we didn't hit our goal, you know. It was kind of one of those things where we won the first bet for 150,000. We both got to the same weight, 184 pounds. And you know, we got challenged the second bet. We talked to the trainer about it. Is it possible? Is it doable? And we said yes, you know. And I think like, you know, we were on top of a mountain. Like we did the impossible, you know. Everyone saw it publicly. And it was just like, this is possible. Let's just keep pushing to the end, you know. It became like part of an identity of like, can you do the impossible or not? And the answer was no, you can't. And that, you know, was like a painful lesson when I kind of just hit a wall and wasn't able to achieve that goal. It was like, you know, it was a loss of innocence in a way of like, well, reality, you know, like, you're tired. You're exhausted.
What was the most difficult part about it? Like, what made you quit or fail the challenge?
I think I was really exhausted. So the year before, you know, I lost 118 pounds or something like that. But then also I've realized after the fact through therapy and sorting through that whole experience and just life in general, like the way in which I was managing to succeed in that bet was really, I filled all of my time so that I didn't have any time to like eat. So I basically, I was vlogging, you know, 5 or 6 days a week. I was streaming 5 days a week. I was studying your Tournament Masterclass 1 or 2 hours a day. I was walking 2 to 3 hours a day.
Wow.
And I was eating 1,200 calories a day, and we lived in 7 countries during that year. So it's like, it was ridiculous, the amount of work I had to do. And I got in a new relationship as well. Like it was just, and that was like, basically I was coping with the difficulty and the attachment that I had with these food issues. Filled my time so I didn't have any time to deal with it. Yeah. And like, when the second bet came around, like that's useful. That's a useful strategy, right? You can do that. Anyone can do that. Fill your time so you don't have any time. But like, you're going to crash and burn. That's not a long-term sustainable thing that's going to work for anyone.
It so stays there, right? It's not going to like disappear if you not proactively deal with that shit.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, as soon as I got a second to like breathe, it was just like, dude, you are messed up. Like you were exhausted. Like you need to stop. And it was kind of that moment where I did my first DEXA scan and I got the numbers, and I was working out six days a week at this point in the gym. I went back for the second DEXA scan, and my muscle percentage actually went down. My body fat percent went up. About a month of working out 6 days a week, muscle went down, fat went up. And that was like the breaking point.
What happened? Why?
Well, I called Mike and he's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like these numbers don't make sense. It doesn't, their machine's broken. I called Bill and he's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But like whether the machine was faulty the first time or not, or whether I just wasn't getting sleep, so like I was losing muscle or overworking out, that was like the moment where I kind of just broke. I was just like, everything sort of the bet was over basically in my mind at that point, where it's like, I can't do this. So that was hard. That was hard to deal with, man. I learned a lot through that whole experience. I learned a lot about who I am as a person, how I manage to structure my time, what makes me tick, what makes me go, where my weaknesses and strengths are, all about my brain and stuff like that, and taking on like huge, massive challenges. But then also I learned to, I think, be a little bit more cautious with myself, because I think if I could go back in time and say, hey, would you take the bet? I'd be like, no way.
Yeah.
I learned a lot, but the stress that it put on myself, I don't think was worth it.
Would you ever do it again? Like something similar?
I would do it under my own challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's a Band-Aid, right? Like you put a $150K bet and you're dependent on your brother. Like if you lose, he also lose money. It's like, I can't fail in that environment, but it's not really solving any of the underlying issues, right? It's a temporary fix, which is fine, but it's not appealing to me.
Yeah. I was actually at this time, everyone roads different, and I think it's an important experience that you have made. I have realized very early on that challenges like this, again, might be different for everyone. It's just for me. I feel like it would also be just a distraction from what I really need. Like, I had one guy messaging me on Instagram. He's also a German poker player, and he wanted to do a prop bet with me. It was about, I think, kickboxing, like, talking about the terms, and then in 6 months, whatever, having a fight for XYZ amount of money. And I was thinking about it. I was like, why? Because he said it would also be a great opportunity for him to get fit, but I'm like, the mindset behind that, like, if it's important to you to become fit, to become healthy, maybe to lose weight or whatever, or to learn a martial art to be able to defend yourself, if you need a challenge in order to do that, I don't think it's that important to you. And what happens 1 year later? Like, you still need to have a plan. You still need to be coping with, okay, what is it that is hindering me from working out? Like, what are the obstacles? And I feel like these challenges for a lot of people are just a distraction. When challenges with others, where there's money at stake. And actually, they might just feel way more exhausted once they finished it. Because as you said, you have that distraction, or not necessarily distraction, like you have that challenge going on. And then once it's over, you suddenly have all the time to think about what's in your mind. Like, you realize, oh my God, and all the pressure release, and what's next. I feel like sometimes when we have a goal, our inner algorithm, the way it works, like, it understands where to go, and if you're determined, but afterwards it completely fails, it breaks. Like, the algorithm doesn't know how to continue now. And along the way, if you're not able to deal with your dark shit, with your shadows, it's gonna haunt you. It's gonna come. Like,
you're not fixing the actual problem.
Yeah.
It's a short-term Band-Aid on top of the wound.
Yeah.
Which works. You can keep slapping Band-Aids until you die if you want, but it's like, that's tough to do. And I agree with you 100%, Ben. Like, for me, what I have learned over time through the whole bet and after, that like my difficulties revolve around poorly managed ADHD. Like, that's my difficulty with food, is like my brain copes with my brain with food, right? And I've developed these relationships in my life with it. And that's something I'm learning about all the time, and like slowly improve, like, privately, like, I'm not sharing it with everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just learning to manage who I am myself, because that's how I can get better at that. Whereas the bet, it was like, I think a lot of people have an assumption, like, if you have a weight issue, it's like, oh, well, you don't understand how calories work, or you don't have any work ethic, or you don't have any ability to XYZ or whatever. It's like, no. It's not that I can't work hard. It's not that I don't have knowledge. It's like, people have these problems for different reasons. And my reason wasn't that I just needed the motivation to get out of bed and get it. Like, look, I showed you that I can do that. Like, I crushed it, I smashed it. So I'm not lazy, and that's not what makes me this way. It's something else going on. And I think it's that for a lot of things for people. It's not
For sure, 100%.
what first comes to mind. It's not as simple as that, you know?
And I think we're very often afraid of, you said it's not that simple, but I think on the other side, it is kind of simple. And that what makes us think, wow, really? That something has happened in the childhood, the way we have been treated, the way we were having our relationships, the impact of our parents, the way we're seeing the world, the way all the beliefs and paradigms have been injected into us, so to speak. And this shapes us for the rest of our lives. And then at some point, because I mean, as you said, we know smoking is bad. We know drinking alcohol is bad. We know taking drugs is bad. Nobody needs to tell us that. Why are we keep doing it? Why? Because there is a dark force within that you haven't been dealing with, you haven't been coping with, and that's where all sorts of distractions coming into play. Not only a challenge, video games, drugs, porn, food, whatever you're distracting with is then essentially, holding you back from realizing where is it coming from? And then once you realize where it might be coming from, and I think a lot of people might actually have a tiny bit of an idea where it comes from, but they're like, nah, that doesn't make any sense.
You don't want to deal with it, man. It's painful to deal with it. You don't want to confront it.
Yeah.
No, that's the worst. That's hard work, That's painful.
Yeah.
You why not, you just cover it up. You go from cigs to smoking to porn to delving yourself into work to whatever it is, It's like there's always a way to cope somehow. Some of them are healthy or not healthy, but I think the hard thing is uncovering the actual shit. No one wants to do that.
And I find the part of work and working out and challenges even more dangerous for certain people because it's something good. I'm working. You would never think that actually this is pretty bad. This is not what you need right now. You might need a break of 1 or 2 weeks and cope with the shit, deal with the shit that is holding you back, working on your past. Whether it is, I can highly recommend finding a mentor. There are a lot of very good psychologists that can really help you with that sort of stuff. And it's definitely worth investing time and money. I would not even recommend buying a course for that kind of stuff. I would really recommend having someone in your city that is certified, because that is essentially working on your traumas. All right. And
I'd like to say as well that I don't, I don't really blame the challenge issuer in this instance,
of course.
I don't blame, I think it's fun to, okay, lighthearted, fun time, right? Bill issues the challenge or Antonio Esfandiari, Kevin Hart, boxing. Some of these challenges are not about deep shit of trying to change who you are. They're just oh yeah, we're going to have a bit of fun.
Yeah, of course.
Right. But I think it's probably on the half of the person taking the challenge to figure out if there's something they wanted to do or not,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. And I'm not saying, never do a challenge. It's with everything. You just have to know for yourself. Is it something that now you're doing to distract yourself? Is it coming from a place of desperation or frustration? Are you frustrated about your issue and you see the straw to get out of your situation and you see that as a solution to do that challenge, to just distract you on your real issue? So are you coming from a place of frustration, desperation, or is it just something, is it coming from inspiration? It's hey, you know what? Why not? Let's do that shit. And you're not trying to put a bandage on a wound, as you said. So that's something you need to know for yourself, for everyone that is watching. And the same for some people, video games are awesome. For others, I'm maybe you should step away for a while. For some, they can eat 3 burgers a week. Fine, go ahead. And for others, it might not be the best solution. It's there's never really that black and white. It's
not simple, is it?
Yeah. Even this entire no fab kind of no porn movement. I understand that it's definitely not good, I think, for a lot of people. But I've also met people, man, they have changed their entire lives. I'm like, dude, you look like a cool dude to me. You have good relationships. Why do you jump on that hype train? Just because it's a movement. It might not be for everyone. And you just freak out for nothing.
I think about the rock star lifestyle sometimes. The guys that die at 65 and they did all the drugs and they had all the sex and they lived hard until the end and they die quick. And it's just like, well, and it's so the opposite of like what is mainstream to strive for. And like you said, I don't think it's black and white, which is better and which is worse. I think, I guess it's a personal choice as to whether you put any value in hedonism or not. But I think it's interesting, right? Like to me, it's not determined whether health and wellness and long-term decisions are in fact what we should be doing. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like all I know, Ben, is I am knowing less and less by the day. I don't know what the hell is going on.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's scary. I also sometimes feel like the more I read or consume knowledge and I try to educate myself, and I got way more chilled about it. Like I used to be, okay, let's grow every day, let's hustle, these days are over as well, because I got to realize that some part, you need to, that's what I've been working for. You want to be rewarding yourself, you want to take the time with your loved ones and do the shit that you enjoy doing. So that's why I'm not also now chasing after every Sunday, because I know the next big series is around the corner.
Yep. Absolutely. What's funny is I feel like we kind of found Gary Vee at around the same time. And I don't know if you noticed, but I feel like I've seen him take that sort of approach change over time too. Like he used to be like, work every hour, like go and then like sleep if you have to. And now he's kind of eased off it a bit where he's like, okay, like get good sleep. I just want you to be happy. Like he's evolved a little bit.
Yeah.
While still staying true to his morals. But I feel like culture as a whole is a little bit that way too. Like we got a little too intense around 2012, 2013 time. We were going pretty hard.
But it's an important phase. I think just sometimes if you experience the ceiling, so let's say, you hustle, and then you reach the ceiling and like, okay, that's probably a little too far. And then you adjust. All right, maybe I'm getting too little lazy. I mean, that's life. It's never like, that's part of the journey. I feel like some people are always striving every day for the balance. No. And that creates that friction, that creates the resistance. And I think if you resist something, I'm not resisting that anymore. Like, all right, if I have a couple of days where I worked way too much or I hustled way too much because that's my mentality, okay, cool. So be it. Next days, I'm going to be adjusting a bit, taking it a little slow. If I have a week where I feel like, hey, Ben, you were a little too lazy, all right, we spice it up the week after. And that's, I believe life is not only change in terms of like a 10-year or 20-year scale, also on a daily basis. Right? The next day, okay, what are we going to be doing different?
Yeah.
I mean, if you've found the perfect balance, it's going to be boring, that perfect balance in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So you're working for something like your entire life to find that balance. And I'm telling you, that balance is going to be fucking boring after 2 weeks. And you want something different.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. You want the variety, you want the spice, you want you want the pain and you want the euphoria, right? Like if it's all same, time just passes. Kind of similar to this year in general. I don't know how you feel, but with coronavirus, like I didn't really make any memories this year. When I look back at 2020, just thinking like, well, what happened? Well, I don't even really know, you know, because I didn't have that change of environment, the change of routine, the change, like it's all just been same. And speaking to other people in my Twitch chat, it's been the same thing. It's almost like we lost time while waiting for this virus to end.
Lost, yeah. I mean, you can see it from different perspective. Lost times, or you've learned more about yourself. I for me personally, probably one of the most impactful years over the last 5 to 10 years.
That's awesome. Why?
Well, because you got to stay home more often. You had to, spend more time with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You had less time with your friends. I mean, again, if you use it for then replacing it with some other distractions, then it's probably not going to happen. But like, I definitely spend more time on, all right, meditating more, or just spending more time with my girlfriend, or I felt like I got more time to think about stuff. And also more time to, I have 2 mentors here in Vienna that I visit on a regular basis. So I had enough time to see them on a regular basis, with my trainer, kickbox trainer, where we also sometimes talk about shit. He has a very similar approach to life as I have. So we got some time to talk there. And I would say I had less talking in general with people, but I had more intense and more deeper conversation with people. Also with myself.
That's great.
Yeah.
That does sound like a good year. I like what you got going on, man. It's nice. I wanna Bencb week in my life. I want to see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we were also sad the way this year went, and we would have loved to, travel more and see our friends and family. So I could sit home and be angry about this virus, or perhaps about the politics, if you find the measurements too hard and too drastic, right? It's like everyone has a different opinion on that.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's how it is. Let's make the best out of it. And there's also an opportunity in it for yourself. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying, oh man, people are dying now, he sees an opportunity. No, you just need to see that for yourself. You still need to make the best out of it. And move on.
There's opportunity in everything, in tragedy.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah, exactly. I think, I don't know who said that, so I can't really quote exactly, but he said something that if you have to find meaning in every tragedy, and something along the line, and then it's really hard to be to feel miserable, miserable in terms of that you don't have the power to move on, right? So, and I always try to find the meaning in every miserable situation that I might get into, and then move on.
Yeah, I think there's something about the going back to openness for different experience. I think there, like you said, there's sort of two reactions to it. And I think being open to one opportunity instead of just thinking, well, this is shit, life is shit, this is the worst year ever. It's like, yeah, okay, well, perhaps all 3 of those things are true, but open to, well, what else could I do here? What, like you said, well, this is freeing up time that I didn't have before to maybe work on aspects of my life that I wasn't working on before because I was traveling and visiting my family. So now I can really hammer these home and do these things that I wanted to do and I can't do yet. All the people that made these amazing, you know what is perfect? Actually, TikTok, dude. All the TikTok stars that have risen this year because they started TikToking in the pandemic, and they started cooking shows and they started DJing in their house. And now there's all of these fledgling stars that are coming up to the surface that started in their house in a pandemic and created a career out of this shit situation.
Yeah.
I think that's openness to try and do in the face of adversity.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. Great. So we were talking a lot about change and how also tragedies can have a big impact in your life. What would you advise to everyone that is watching, listening, that if they find themselves in a situation where, considered a tragedy or a downswing, how to get out of it? What has helped you the most to get out of a tragic, is that the right way to say, or out of a miserable situation?
Yeah, so I'll say first of all, I don't think I am an expert at really much at all. So just take what I say with a grain of salt. But for my own perspective, in poker, it's always been, it's a different situation streaming now because I have regular income from sponsorship and all that stuff. So I don't have to worry so much about a poker downswing because there's regular money coming in like a normal job. But before streaming, I had to manage my bankroll, and I always found for my brain, like doubling down on the problem and working harder was what I wanted to do when I was facing adversity. I would actually kind of relax a little bit when things were going well, which has its own downsides. But when I was in a downswing or struggling, I would usually drop my biggest buy-ins. I would study harder and I'd work harder until things started going well. That worked for me. But for some people, the complete opposite, which is like, hey, step away for 2 weeks, get some air, get a walk in, and then come back at it fresh is another solution that works well, and that is fine to just freshen up. I think the pure nuts and bolts of it in poker is just like increase your win rate by playing against easier opponents or by increasing your win rate by studying. And that's going to have a positive effect on how much variation you're going to expect in your results. So like that's going to help you and increase your chances. And then how you manage your mind is either go hard or refresh, So that was my approach in poker. How about yourself?
Both.
Yeah.
I sometimes realize, okay, now it's getting a little too much, just trying to work on the problem, double down on it and finding, okay, what are the leaks currently in my game? But sometimes I realize, okay, I just need a break. It's just more a mindset issue where I'm not having a clear perspective on things while I play. I need much longer to make good decisions, and I'm just, okay, hey, you need a break. Usually the way I would, and this is a very good advice from, I think, Jocko Willing. He said, the day if you would feel a little exhausted, I mean, never play when you're exhausted poker, but let's say I want to have a study session. I want to be reviewing spots. I want to see where did I miss a good opportunity to bluff or bluff catch or whatever. And he would say, if you want to be working or you want to be studying, whatever, and you feel a little bit tired, push through. Just push through for the day. If you still feel tired the next day, then take a day off. Because very often it's just our mind telling us, we need a break or we're weak. It's our little, It's just some sort of weakness. But if it's the next day, it remains the same, then you really need a break, It's just a lack of willpower on that very day. And you can push through. You still have those 10-20%. If it remains the next day, then really take a break. Then your body is telling you, listen, dude, chill. So this is something I've been following, and it works really well for me. So I always try to push and work on the problem, but I'm also very, very quick on changing the path. So if I realize, okay, it's not going, I go completely the opposite and just take a break.
Yeah. I like it, man. I mean, that's one of the things about poker that really appealed to me in the beginning was how you could just structure it however the hell you want, It's like your life is your life, and if you want to take a week off, like go for it, man. Like go into the mountains and chill out if you want. Now, I've done that exactly 0 times over 11 years of being a poker pro. I've never taken a week off to chill in my life. Just hasn't happened, But I think in theory, it's something that I should do. And it would be nice to do, just to say, hey, take a sabbatical, like go to the ocean, go into the mountains, take on a mini project, I don't know, hike for 7 days or something. I don't know. I love that freedom. That sense of.
I can highly recommend that. I don't know if you've seen that video I made on YouTube. I made a vlog about it. I was last year in Iceland for a week. I rent me a tiny cottage.
Nice.
In Iceland. Went for a swim in the ice every morning, and the rest of the day I didn't plan anything. I took me some books, took me a journal. I also spent a lot of time cooking, bought me some stuff, doing sports, but essentially the rest of the day I was just, get up, go for a swim, do my workout, have a nice breakfast, go for a walk, and no internet, or at least no social media, and it was very interesting. It
That's
was very,
cool,
very
man.
interesting. Yeah.
I really want to do that. I'm super jealous.
Dude, you can go on Airbnb and rent you an apartment somewhere in Iceland or in Sweden or wherever you want to go.
I went to Iceland with Rebecca. Actually, during the bet, I went to Iceland with Rebecca. And we were supposed to stay for like 3 days or 4 days or something. And I was like 11 days in to this vacation in the middle of the bet, basically. And we extended our stay just because it was so chill. You know, it was like we went in winter, so there was a ton of snow and the weather was bad. And we had this chill little Airbnb, and we extended our stay. I think I made up some story like I lost my passport to deal with the guilt of like basically extending my vacation during the streaming year. I had to do that. So I was like, oh yeah, I left my passport, missed my flight. This is total BS. I don't know why I couldn't just tell the truth. Iceland's a cool place, man. It is like, it's special. Yeah.
No, do it. I can highly recommend it. I don't know which books, but very often people I look up to, especially for a man, I've heard that a lot, that it has huge benefits if you just get the time, go in the wilderness, spend some time on your own, to get an idea of what you want in life, where you want to go, what is important to you. And I actually realized that for the very first time, I don't know, it was 3 years ago when I went on a vacation, first vacation with my girlfriend, with Danita, and that vacation I said, okay, no social media, no nothing. And I realized, wow, I started thinking about or seeing things that I've never seen from that perspective. And I was reading more about it. I was like, yeah, the moment you start putting more and more stuff into your mind through social media, news, blah, 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 blah. I was very careful about it anyway. But like just really spending the time with my girlfriend, and if not, spending the time with myself. And I was like, yeah, I want this. Because very often people message me. I don't know how it is with you, Jaime. I was like, yeah, I don't really know what I want. Like, should I become a pro? Should I stay with my job? You've probably received a lot of these questions as well. Yeah. What I would say is, I mean, I know it's very hard, but like, get rid of this all social. If possible, go somewhere, even if it's just a tent. Like, you don't need to spend a lot of money. Go somewhere in the woods, or rent a tiny cottage for like very little money and just be with yourself for 1 week. I'm telling you, you're going to find the answers. It's insane. Because then you will experience the full capacity of your mind. And it starts operating on a level you have never experienced before.
That's a great idea. I would love to do it, Ben. I would love to do it. I like the idea. Honestly, if I could pick one thing to do, let's say I could pause my career right now. So you're like, okay, see you in 2 weeks and whatever. I would probably go somewhere and take, like you said, a bunch of books. And I think that's what I'd do for a week, man. I'd just hike for 2 hours in the morning. I'd cook some good meals. I'd read a book and just like do nothing else. That's it.
Yeah.
That is like the ideal escape from reality for me, is just reset. But
do it.
You know, it's hard to do that with Twitch though, Ben. It's very hard to do that.
No,
it is. Not. It very much is.
No.
I've got responsibilities. I've got an audience, you know?
You got responsibilities towards your own life and towards your own future.
It's true. It's true.
The audience is not running away, man. The ones that like you, it's good. You also, you increase the quality of your audience, because the ones are just in there for some, short-term gratification, and maybe also some haters, and they don't see you around. We all have haters in our streams, It is how it is. For some reason, they still tune in, and you also get rid of them. It's like, oh, he's not streaming. And you come back, you might have less viewers, but those are the real, the real followers, the real fans.
It's true. It's true. It is a competitive battle out there right now, though, in the Twitch world, man. It is pretty extreme, to be honest. The amount of streaming action that's going in, I mean, everyone's jockeying. Lex is king, King Lex, he's crushing it. But like everyone is just fighting for their piece of the pie. And I mean, it's hard, man. Like, it's a difficult thing. It takes a lot of hours. I've streamed 200 hours in the last 30 days live on Twitch, which is probably the most since I started. Because I mean, there's just so many great poker players and great streamers, playing amazing tournaments, making day twos, offering great information, and so you've got to compete. I mean, if I want to continue continuing to have what I have and the opportunities I have, I've got to compete.
If that's what you want, then go for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? I also want to hike in the mountains. Do you have any advice for me, Ben? What am I supposed to do?
I honestly think that once you have reached a certain level, as popular and as big as you are right now, scarcity can be really, really good. Scarcity in terms of, okay, not streaming for a week or two and coming back. Right. I think you're right. If you're growing, if you are getting into something, you want to be consistent. But the consistency becomes a little less important once you've reached a certain level, once you have an established audience. And then I think very often the reverse works, where, hey, you make yourself a little bit more rare, because then you will create a bigger hype around yourself. It's not that I'm doing that on purpose. That's not why I'm not streaming on a regular basis on Twitch. But I also think that's why when I go live, we usually also have a very good viewer count. But like, I don't have the time to stream on a regular basis. It's actually one of my systems I want to incorporate, that I'm going to be streaming a little bit more regular this year. But yeah, I think for those who are already very established, it's actually pretty smart. And you can also create new content, man. As you said, you can create a new format, like vlogging from the wilderness in, I don't know, Lithuania or Ireland or Iceland or wherever you want to go. Austria is also very beautiful. I mean, Canada, you can stay there. You just pick a lake. I just like the idea of just going in a different country, really not just being somewhere around the neighborhood. But Canada is big, man. You just,
it's a big place.
Somewhere.
There's some moments, There's some
so
spots
actually,
here.
You might have bigger benefits from taking a little break than you might think.
I'm gonna have to mix it in. I think. I'm probably gonna wait until I get this vaccine, and then I'll do it at that point, because then I'll be able to mix in taking a flight somewhere.
You know what I always wanted to do is to have an instructor where you go in the wilderness and you just stay there for a couple of days and he teaches you the most basic stuff. Like really with going into the wilderness with the most basic stuff, like maybe a knife, or even not a knife, like I don't know what you really need. And he teaches you how to create the tools, how to get food, what kind of plants and what kind of spices you can, not spices, but like how do you say, you get the idea, like what kind of greens and the woods you can eat, and how to hunt, how to maybe to construct a fishing rod out of nothing, creating all the tools that you need to hunt, or how to build a tent in the wilderness. Like really, like this is something has always excited me, but I haven't found the proper instructor yet.
Right. Yeah, man.
I can also imagine doing that in a group with 2 or 3 guys, for a week, and you can talk about some exciting stuff. This is something I definitely want to be doing as well. I find that super epic. I don't know.
I think I think when it comes to swimming too, like I've started to have those. I don't know if it's the pandemic and the sense of mortality that it's created, but it's like, I should really become an expert swimmer. I never swim, but just in case, I should. And I should figure out how to, if I get stranded in the woods, figure out how to survive, I don't know where, maybe it's just in the male psyche, Ben, deep within us.
It is.
As we both live in these big cities, we have this desire to I need to survive. If I'm stranded alone, I need these skills. I've had that same thought, dude.
And I also think it probably creates a lot of pressure off us, like bad pressure, because you kind of subconsciously know, wait, if shit hits the fan, if everything goes down, you know how to survive in wilderness.
Yeah. It's a safety net.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it is. It's some sort of investment in your own abilities.
Yeah. It's like having the classic 6 months of living expense that we recommend for bankroll management. It's that for life, you know?
No, for sure. Absolutely. So Jamie is going to do it. He's going for a week off summer this year.
I will definitely commit at some point this year. I think I'm going to wait till the vaccine. I want to go hard in the paint for the next couple months, I think. And, but yeah, I want to go on like trips with Rebecca, I think, to a few spots around here, like even cities, but the wilderness, like Quebec, the province I'm in, is just huge. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lakes, most of them with nothing on them, like just wilderness. So I look forward to renting a car when the weather gets warm this summer and just exploring, checking out the world, man, you know, getting away from it for a little bit. So that would be nice.
What are your favorite countries that you have traveled like the last couple of years? Or were the spots you really enjoyed?
I mean, they're all so good for different reasons, right? I've really enjoyed cities a lot, actually. And I've done a lot of traveling into cities. London was one of my favorite city experiences, just because it is, I don't know, it was just so connected. And it's a funny story. I lived like about an 8-minute walk away from Sam Grafton. We were flying back from the PCA. He's like, "Oh, where are you going?" You know, whatever. And I was like, "Oh, I'm moving to London, you know, in Angel." And he's like, we're on the same tube stop. So I got to take the tube with Sam, you know, and it was kind of a moment where, you know, I looked down the tube, the underground, and, you know, it's so diverse, right? You have people from all different, all different classes and all different geographies around the world. And it's like iconic in a way where you're just like, I'm in a real world-class city here where the world comes together around an idea.
Yeah.
And I felt that in London in a huge way. And I just love that as a person. Like I love being able to collaborate with all these different ideas and ways of doing things.
Yeah.
It's like part of Canadian identity, really. So that was like awesome for me to just to be in that city, meeting people all the time, exploring, hopping on the tube, like jumping around to different spots. I just had a blast there, man. It was so fun. Vienna was like four or 5 years ago, but I mean, it's the best. Well, I'm sure you talk about it a lot on your podcast.
Yeah.
And I can't do it justice because you live there, but it's super dope and like amazing. And then I would say Barcelona, man, because Barcelona is a world-class city. You take away the ocean and the beach, it's a world-class city in and of itself. But then you also can just take the beach and like, this is an amazing like vacation destination.
Yeah.
Sea and the sand, like you get both. And there's very few cities in the world that have both to such a degree. You know, like Rio de Janeiro, maybe, but then you're going to deal with some crime and some poverty, which might make your vacation difficult or your time there. Barcelona, it's like, man, you're laying on the beach and then your art and culture and cuisine and I mean, you have it all. So I would say those three. How about you? Are there any spots that really stand out to you that you've been to recently?
Vienna for sure. I really like Amsterdam and Tel Aviv. I really enjoy Tel Aviv just in terms of the vibes. I really feel like people are really taking care of themselves. I think it's also the mentality. Everyone goes to the military. They're very much into Krav Maga, you know, taking care of themselves, probably also with the history, you know, involved a lot of wars and not wars, not necessarily wars, but like a lot of threats, you know, given the situation. But like when you're on the beach, first of all, amazing beaches, amazing food, very kind people, especially towards Germans. Very interested in your story, very welcoming. Like I've never received so many free drinks than in Tel Aviv. Like it was insane. Essentially in every bar we went, it was like, hey, you know, they were asking you, it was like you started chatting a little bit and it's like, hey, here, you know, have a free shot. Even from neighbor tables, like once, it was like, hey, you know, have a free drink with us here. We invite you. It was insane. It was insane. And also on the beach, like you have outdoor gyms like every 100 meters. And there's so many people going for runs. I remember one day in the afternoon, I was like, all right. Because you start feeling bad. I was like, I also went for a run. You know, on your vacation, you're on the beach. You don't think about going for a run. I was like, 5 p.m., we were about to wrap up our stuff and go home. I was like to my mate, 30 minutes, okay, I just want to go for a quick run. Because it's like the environment that you surround yourself with, that you start adapting. You start doing what they're doing. And so many people working out and doing sports. And it's like, all right, I'm also going to go for a run.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, environment. Yeah. It's the way I justify in my mind anyways, why I've lived in cities, when it's like, I literally work in this little pocket in my house. I could live anywhere. It doesn't matter. Like I could pay 1/4 of the rent I'm paying right now.
Yeah.
But instead I'm choosing to put myself in that environment. And I think it's because what you said, it's like over the period of a long life, what you surround yourself with is going to be important in determining who you become and the experiences you have.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I get to choose whether I want to spend money on that or not. And I think it's worth it, Yeah. Of course, like food, shelter, clothing is important. It's kind of it's a bougie choice to have. I'm very lucky to have it, but like, I would rather spend a lot of money on rent and be surrounded by that environment and sort of build the life I want to have.
Yeah.
Influence me in positive ways.
Sure. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. How does a Jaime Staples indulge himself? What do you spend money on that you would consider as more for fun, for enjoyment, entertainment? What maybe the audiences, maybe they know it already, would like to hear it as well, but maybe there's something that we don't know yet.
Art.
I
buy art.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I buy some paintings.
Yeah, I can see it in the background there.
There's one. Yeah, It's Pablo. That was a recent purchase.
You can drop any name, the most fanciest name. I have no idea.
I don't either, Ben. I don't really know.
I'm so far away from art.
I mean, to like be buying the artists that are relevant in the global art discussion, you need a lot more money than I have. Like I'm just buying artists and I'm buying original works of art, and it's not really as an investment to like, ooh, I hope I 10x my money and they become famous. Like I just like art. And I think art is an important part. Art in all sorts of forms is an important part of life. My parents are both musicians, and it's like I need to find reasons in my life where I stay busy and work to infuse art into it. So what I do is when I have a score of $5,000 or more, I buy a piece of original art as like an excuse for myself. And that obviously cuts into my ROI pretty significantly, but I like it, dude. I don't know. I like it. It's fun. So I do that.
Is it more paintings or also sculptures?
Mostly paintings so far.
Okay.
I don't know, 20 pieces or something, but I will get into more mediums as well, sculpture and drawings and stuff. I mean, I'm reading about art a lot. I'm reading art magazines, actually, mostly is what I'm reading nowadays, just to try and get into the world more and understand it more. I don't know. I just find it interesting. It's like these artists are saying something that isn't really said in writing, and it isn't said in video. It's said uniquely in their depictions, which is like so cool because it's the most underused of all of those mediums.
Yeah.
It's like we have a lot of video, we have a lot of writing. We don't have that much painting, and it can say things in a different way than anywhere else.
For sure,
I like that.
Yeah. And something else. I'm not satisfied here yet.
What do you like? I really don't DJ on anything, dude. No? Like I buy business flights.
No DJ stories here.
Business class flights.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dropped 5K on some flights before. That's about it. I bought an 85-inch TV so I can watch Tottenham matches. That's sort of DJing, I guess. I don't know, dude. I'm really, what motivates me poker-wise, financially, is getting enough money in the stock market where at an assumed 5% rate of return, I could do nothing and survive and live my life, Yeah. So I have like a number in my mind, like $2 million, like you're sorted. You can pay taxes, 5% return, very conservative. You could retire if you want to. $4 million is like the bougie number. You can do whatever the hell you want. Like it's like game over basically at that point in my mind. Like the rest of your money is kind of irrelevant. You can use it for good causes, but like financially you've completed the journey. So that actually motivates me. I mostly put my money into investments so as to try and acquire more freedom in the future, and
buying time essentially, or
and like choices, like sometimes I have work opportunities, and finances factor into the decision as to whether I'm going to take it or not. And I would love it if it never had to factor in, if it was always purely just what I want to spend my time on. And so I'm nowhere close to the 2 million number, not even close to close. I mean, we're not even in the same discussion, but it's like an exciting idea to hit that threshold and be like, you're now free rolling. And now it's your own time to make choices with. So that motivates me.
That's cool. That's very exciting to see. I mean, to me, it's always very important that whenever I have financial, I always say it's like a dream or wish, because at the end of the day, this is something that is not in your control. Like with poker, there's still variance. So I really don't want to confuse that with a goal, because essentially it's not a goal, because a goal to me is like working out 3 times a week for 1 month, because nothing can stop you unless an injury or whatever, right? It's something very unlikely. But when there are other factors coming into play that are not in your control, you should be very careful using the term goal. I just recently made a video why I'm not setting goals, and I'm really like not setting goals like this ever. So for me, it's about just having a system in place, a system that will allow me to increase the chances and the likelihood of reaching my dreams and wishes. So I have very precise dreams and wishes, and then I build a system around it. And this system might include meditating on a regular basis, eating healthy, doing some other stuff that will allow me to, again, reach a good odds, likely odds, to likely reach my dreams and wishes. But it's all about the process. I'm not going to be disappointed if I don't reach it, if I really give it my best, because I know, okay, there's still other factors, other people, other companies, circumstances that are simply not in my control. I can give it my all. Like, you can have a great poker session, but you can still lose. So what's the point? You know what? I always find it funny. I always compare that with playing aces. If you get aces, your very first instinct is not, hey, I want to win 100 big blinds. If you do that, okay, then you have a fucked up mindset anyway. You take it step by step.
Silly.
Yeah, but like, it's like, first you want to make a good pre-flop decision. You're going to make a good flop decision. You're going to make a good turn decision. Sometimes a good turn lay down. And then you're going to make a good river decision. At the end of the day, you might win 20 big blinds. You might win 100 big blinds. Or you might lose 10 big blinds. And that's the way I see life. And then just trying to increase the odds that I will win the maximum amount of money with my aces. But like, we do it in poker, but we're so bad in copying it and doing it in life.
Yeah. I mean, we used to not even be that good at it in poker. Yeah. I'm sure you remember the videos where it was just like, well, if we call on the turn, we got to call on the river. Like, that was a very common
I hated
form of
this
logic in poker.
I hated this advice.
It was just
so
like,
much.
well, the board hasn't changed, so we must call again. It's like, well, wait a second. Like, they don't necessarily bet 100% of their turn betting range on the river here. Things have changed.
Yeah.
It's like the poker pros of 2010, and I was learning from the poker pros of 2010, so I'm not putting myself on a pedestal.
Yeah.
But it's like we stopped relative hand strength like at the flop. It just stopped being, it's just like relative hand strength, and then our hand is our hand at that point if we just call down. That was the strategy back then. It was really interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's interesting too, man. It's been so cool to see online poker and its strategy change over time. To now we're seeing, sometimes we're pre-flop shoving some hands for like 40 blinds, like queen jack suited. I put out a tweet the other day. I said, from now on, if anyone opens, I'm in the small blind between 40 big blinds and 12 big blinds. And it folds to me, I'm all in. It's public service announcement, like, good luck, ace king, right? Because like, basically you can shove queen jack suited for 40 big blinds against any position. And it's just like, what the hell is going on? with this, like poker is changing so much, like we're learning these things, this is new, and it's just power poker, dude. It's just like we're going back to Doyle. This is like Doyle was right in some ways all along, you know. We took all these interesting turns and we're learning like, oh yeah, sometimes you can just shove like huge amounts of big blinds.
Well, you have to be very careful with that, because a lot of these ranges are just chippy V. And even at the beginning of a tournament or middle stage of a tournament, you get close to the bubble, actually the ICM starts changing things a lot. Like, because very often the V of calling and shoving is quite identical.
Right.
And so like shoving is a tiny bit better. But like if you factor in ICM and future game,
Makes sense.
not a shove anymore. And not even close.
I haven't got to this point, Ben. I haven't got to this point.
But that's the problem, right? That's the problem with a lot of preflop ranges, also from a lot of people out there that are creating content. That kind of makes me feel bad, because they're not considering it. They haven't put in the work to implement that in their ranges. Of course, we do have that with the Tournament Masterclass, where I went into every single range to make sure, okay, it kind of considers the ICM.
Right.
So you might see that's where, like, but Ben, like the preflop solve says we should be shoving or calling, whatever. It's like, yeah, dude, first of all, future game, you probably have an edge. You don't want to take every marginal spot with like 50 big blinds reshoving or 3-bet calling or whatever, and ICM. And then it becomes a complete different action.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's, you know, it's just an interesting world. We have seen a lot. We've seen a lot of, I mean, charts have become a big part of poker in 2020 and 2021 as people start to work out some of these pre-flop strategies. And you guys have been ahead in the game in every way, in that the Tournament Masterclass, you know, I've used your guys' tools so extensively to check my own game. I'll watch my stream, right? After I'm done my session, I'll watch my stream. I'll see what I did pre-flop and I'll check, like, did I do that right or wrong? And I'll think in the moment, like, what would I do now? I would do this. What did I actually do? And what is recommended, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I get 3 learning experiences in that moment.
Yeah.
And like, but you're right. We are seeing all of these different approaches, and like, you know, what GTO says to do, what exploit says to do. How do we factor ICM in? It's just like, poker is beautifully complicated, and I'm loving learning about the way it's happening in 2021 and implementing different parts and making mistakes and improving. I don't know, man. It's just fun. Poker's fun in 2021. I like it.
It's going to be an exciting year for sure, with lots of tournaments, and I hope you and we're going to have a lot of deep runs. Jamie, let's wrap it up. I know you have some day twos. I don't want to take too much of your time. Thank you for joining us here, and I wish you nothing but good luck, and probably we're gonna have another episode soon. Would love to have you here again. Maybe then you report from your journey to into the wilderness.
Yes,
fighting the bears and the snakes and whatever obstacles and challenges might come your way.
Maybe I need to do it in Austria, actually, because I didn't explore any of the wilderness in Austria when I was there.
And you don't have any dangerous animals.
Oh, well, that's easy then.
Yeah.
Perfect. I would love that, Ben. Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure as always. Love what you do in the poker world.
Thank you so much.
And in your own community and stuff. So always happy to chat and help in any way I can. Big thanks to the audience out there as well, everyone listening. You can check me out on Twitch this year at PokerStaples.tv.
For sure. You're streaming a lot, so check him out. If you haven't yet, pretty sure everyone that is into poker knows you anyway, but in case you're new, Jaime Staples on Twitch. Or no, you also have
Staples.
Poker Staples, exactly.
Poker Staples on Twitch, yeah.
We also put that in the description, so if you guys want to check him out on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, make sure to follow his journey there. I'm pretty sure you're going to see some exciting pictures and footage from Jamie in the wilderness as well this year, so you don't want to miss that out. Thank you guys for tuning in.
I hope so, man.
See you guys next time. Cheers.